Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, a prominent Sephardic Jewish poet, physician, and philosopher of the 11th and mid-12th century, is widely regarded as one of the most important figures in the Jewish community of his time. His best-known work, the Kuzari, is considered a masterpiece of Jewish philosophy. The Kuzari tells the story of a king from an ancient Turkic kingdom of Khazar, who repeatedly dreams of an angel urging him to seek the truth in a new faith. And so the king invited a philosopher, a Christian theologian, and a Muslim scholar to present their respective cases for why he should adopt their religion. But none of those people were able to provide satisfying answers. Finally, he turned to a Jewish sage who explained why Judaism is the true religion to illuminate understanding of the world. The sage effectively convinced the king, leading him to convert to Judaism. Unfortunately, over time, Rabbi Halevi's historical fiction has been distorted by anti-Semites and anti-Zionists to erroneously claim that Ashkenazic Jews are descendants of the Khazars and therefore lack any historical or genetic connection to ancient Jews of Israel, branding them colonizers without legitimate claims to the land. Genetic testing and research has disproved these claims. Despite the misuse of the Khazar story, what remains important today is Rabbi Yehuda Halevi's profound message in this work, the Kuzari. In the dialogue preceding the king's decision to convert to Judaism, Halevi's character not only persuaded the king, but also spoke to us, to the readers. He presented several key arguments for the preeminence of Judaism, including its historical authenticity, divine origins, ethical wisdom, and the unique Jewish capacity for prophecy. Halevi's work resonated deeply with Jews throughout the Middle Ages, uniting various communities, whether in terms that we use today, Hasidic, Orthodox, secular, liberal, or conservative. It embodied values that continue to hold relevance today. The Kuzari was not created in a vacuum. It was a response to the difficult societal conditions inflicted on the Jews during the Middle Ages. Regulations restricted where Jews could live, what they would wear, and how they could work. The original title for that work was the Book of Refutation and Proof on behalf of the despised religion. Reflects the demoralizing experience of our ancestors during a time when Judaism was considered a lowly faith. Through the book, Rabbi Halevi aimed to uplift the Jewish people's spirits and instill hope in their hearts amidst widespread abuse and despair. Jews, feeling that the religion had failed them in their current circumstances, found solace in the story of the conversion of the Khazar king and his people to Judaism. It was an event that represented validation of their faith, providing a much-needed psychological and spiritual boost. Rabbi Halevi used this narrative to capture and then counter the sense of isolation and humiliation Jews experienced as he understood their deep need for upliftment. This need was not only psychological, but also theological. According to Dr. Micah Goodman, hundreds of years earlier, during the 4th and 5th centuries, figures like St. Augustine made theologically insulting claims that the continued existence of Jews required an explanation. The St. Augustine types argued that the suffering and humiliation of Jews were signs that God had abandoned them. Rabbi Halevi's Kuzari was a response to this claim, asserting that Judaism still held profound spiritual and theological significance. Dr. Goodman suggests that political inferiority marked by a lack of sovereignty, power, and constant persecution, can evolve into theological inferiority and mental weakness. To counter this, such groups, and specifically ancient Jews, have developed a narrative that asserts their metaphysical superiority, allowing theology to balance the harsh realities of political life. Dr. Goodman refers to this idea as theology of compensation. In that spirit, Rabbi Halevi's message aimed to restore Jewish moral and reinforce their desire to live as Jews and maintain a strong sense of belonging during the harsh bigotry within the Middle Ages. Since 1948, the Jewish experience has fundamentally shifted. With the establishment of the State of Israel, Jews no longer live as political inferiors. They are no longer wanderers, having returned to their ancestral homeland. In Israel, they are not a minority, but a majority, and they possess a powerful military, signaling newfound physical strength, and a democratic government with a separate judiciary, signaling political strength. However, despite this physical and political power, when crises or challenges arise, some Jews revert to a deep-seated sense of inferiority ingrained from centuries of political weakness and social ridicule. This can create a tragic tension. While Jewish communities have been revived and empowered mentally, many remain stuck in a medieval mindset of exile, unable to fully embrace their current political reality. This phenomenon may at least partially explain the emergence of, who some people call, self-hating Jews, who constantly and unproductively condemn Israel, usually by distorting facts, and whether intentionally or not, empower rising anti-Semitism. Some have formed groups with titles that are the opposite of what they are. Jewish Voice for Peace, JVP, and If Not Now, are among the most prominent, having spewed much dishonest propaganda that fuels the flames of anti-Semitism. Israel's enemies, including those people with Jewish ancestry, have successfully promoted the falsity that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are separate, suggesting the Jews may exist but should not have a country or political power. This is absurd. It's like saying you support French people but oppose the right to live in France. Their underlying message is that Jews should remain as vulnerable and powerless as they have been since Roman, Babylonian, Christian, and Islamic conquests, disenfranchised Jews. In truth, political power, along with theological and cultural identity, is essential to optimizing our potential. A strong Israel plays a critical role in reducing anti-Semitism worldwide and in strengthening and protecting many enlightened societies of the West, often directly through various intelligence collaborations. And despite the squeaky wheels of hatred and resentment, there is much global gratitude for what Israel has done in helping victims of natural disasters and famine throughout the world. The vocal support on college campuses for the Islamic terrorists who have massacred, injured, and abducted Jews on October 7th reaffirms the need to continue the fight for Zionism and the legitimacy of Jewish self-determination and security. As a nation, our Jewish history consists of tragedies and victories, sadness and happiness, experiences that have shaped and continue to shape our DNA as people. As a small Jewish community in the Merrimack Valley, we added the new memory to our DNA as we gather to oppose the raising of a Palestinian flag here in North Andover immediately following the October 7th massacre by Palestinian terrorists. We did this because in today's day and age of heightened hate, this flag has become a symbol of attempted genocide against the Jewish people. Many of those who wave it call for the annihilation of Israel, using terms like globalize the Intifada, and from the river to the sea. This flag has undoubtedly contributed a negative memory to our Jewish story. We lost that particular battle, but we stuck together. Our voices were heard. And this is how we practice action, develop, and strengthen our Jewish identity. Although a couple of weeks ago, our people won a battle against the Hezbollah flag, or those who wave it who have invested so much time, resources, and effort into trying to destroy Israel. If you haven't yet heard of the ingenuity that went into what some people are calling the Grim Reaper operation, I recommend doing a bit of a research on it. And soon after that, Israel eliminated another key terrorists who ordered attacks on Israelis and Jews throughout the world. And now, Khamenei, head of the Islamic regime of Iran and key funder of those terrorists, is in hiding. The more vulnerable these terrorists are, the safer the vulnerable people they rule over will become. I will say it again. The more vulnerable these terrorists are, the safer the vulnerable people they rule over will become. During the Middle Ages, Jews fortified their identity through literature such as the Kuzari. Today, we can fortify our identity through literature, constant involvement in Jewish communities, congregations, and beyond. Fighting anti-Semitism must be a unifying and collective effort, one in which we cannot afford to let our guard down for a moment. Israel's enemies, the enemies of civilization, are becoming more effective and more fierce. As we welcome the new year, let us rejoice in the strength and resilience of our people. I wish you L'Shana Tova, a year filled with shalom, achdut, וכבוד, כבוד הדדי. May this year be marked by peace, unity, and continued progress as we work together to ensure a future when our identity and dignity are strengthened, respected, and celebrated. May we all be blessed with health, happiness, prosperity, and safety. May the surviving hostages be returned safely, and may the people of Israel heal. And let us say, Amen.
ארצנו הקטנטונת, ארצנו היפה, מולדת בלי כותונת, מולדת יחפה, קבליני אל שירייך, כלה יפהפייה, פתחי לי שערייך, אבוא במודיה, בצל עצי החורש, הרחק מאור חמה, יחדיו נקה פה שורש, אל לב האדמה, אל מעיינות הזוהר, אל בארות התום, מולדת ללא תואר, וצועני יתום, עוד לא תמו כל פלאייך, עוד הזמר לא שט, עוד ליבי מכה עם לייך, ולוחש לו בלט, את לי את רק אחת, את לי את המובן, את לי את המעט שנותר. נביע בבגדינו את ריח הכפרים, בפעמון ליבנו יכו העדרים, ישנה דממה רוגעת וקרן אור יפה, ולאורה נפסע ברגל יחפה. עוד לא דמו כל פלאייך, עוד הזמר לא שט, עוד ליבי מכה עם ליל ולוחש לו בליל,